I'm Engineer Francis Vitor Vivote, registered civil engineer, supervising engineer A at the National Irrigation Administration, Region 3. And our topic is about the organization and its environment. So let's start with forces of industry and competition. So I have here the Porter's Five Forces. It's a business analysis model that helps to explain why various industries are able to sustain different levels of profitability. The model was established in Michael E. Porter's book, Competitive Strategy, Techniques for Analyzing Industries and Competitors in 1980. The five forces model is widely used to analyze the industry structure of a company as well as its corporate strategy. Porter's identified five undeniable forces that play a part in shaping every market and industry in the world. The five forces are frequently used to measure competition, intensity, attractiveness, and profitability of an industry or market. So Porter's five forces framework is a method of analyzing the operating environment of a competition of a business. It draws from industrial organization, economics to derive five forces that determine the competitive intensity and therefore the attractiveness or lack or of an industry in terms of profitability. An attractive industry is one in which the effect of these five forces reduces overall profitability. So here's the Porter's five forces. So it starts with the competitive rivalry. So next is threat of new entrant, threat of substitute, and threat of substitutes, bargaining powers of suppliers, and bargaining power of customers. So let's start with competitive rivalry. For most industries, the intensity of competitive rivalry is the biggest determinant of the competitiveness of the industry. Having an understanding of industry rivals is vital to successfully marketing a product. So positioning depends on how the public perceives a product and distinguish it from that of competitor. An organization must be aware of its competitor, market strategies and pricing, and also be reactive to any change made. Rivalry among competitor tends to be cutthroat and industry profitability low while having the potential factors below. So potential factors is first sustainable competitive advantage through innovation. Next is competition between online and offline organizations, level of advertising expense, powerful competitive strategy, which could potentially be realized by adhering to Porter's work on low cost versus differentiation, and lastly, firm concentration ratio. So competitive rivalry, the first of the five forces refers to the number of competitors and their ability to undercut a company. So the larger the number of competitors, along with the number of equivalent products and services they offer, the lesser power of a company. Suppliers and buyers seek out a company competition if they are able to offer better deal or lower prices. Conversely, when competitive rivalry is low, a company has a greater power to charge higher prices and set the terms of deals to achieve the higher sales and profits. So the next one is threat of new entrants. So barriers to entry restrict the threat of a new entrants. If the barriers are high, the threat of new entrants is reduced, and conversely, if the barrier is low, the risk of new companies venturing into a given market is high. Barriers to entry are advantages that existing established companies have over new entrants. So there is a supply side economies of scale, demand side benefits of scale, customer switching costs, capital requirements, unequal access to distribution channels, and lastly, government policy. So a company's power is also affected by the force of new entrants into its market. So the less time and money it costs for a competitor to enter a company's market and be an effective competitor, the more an established company's position could be a significant weakened. An industry with strong barriers to entry is ideal for existing companies within that industry, since the company would be able to charge higher prices and negotiate better terms. So bargaining power of suppliers. So the bargaining power of suppliers is also described as the market of inputs. Uh, Suppliers of raw materials, components, labors, and services to the firm can be a source of power over the firm when there are few substitutes. Supplier switching costs relative to firm switching costs. So there is a degree of differentiation of inputs, impact of inputs on cost and differentiation, presence of substitute inputs, and strength of distribution channel. So the next factor in five forces model addresses how easily suppliers can drive up the cost of inputs. It is affected by the number of suppliers of key inputs of a good or service, how unique these inputs are, and how much it would cost a company to switch to another supplier. The few suppliers to an industry, the more a company would depend on a supplier. As a result, the supplier has more power and can drive up into costs and or rather push for other advantages in trade. On the other hand, when there are many suppliers or low switching costs between rival suppliers, a company can keep its inputs cost lower and enhance its profits. For example, if you are making a biscuit and there is only one person who sells flour, you have no alternative but to buy it from them. Suppliers may refuse to work with a firm or charge excessively high prices for unique resources. So supply and demand. So that's a short term for it. Next is bargaining power of customers. Uh, the bargaining power of customers is also described as a market of outputs. The ability of customers to put the firm under pressure, which also affects the customer sensitivity to price changes. Firms can take measures to reduce buyer power, such as implementing a loyalty program. Buyers' power is high if buyers have many alternatives. It is low if they have few choices. So there is buyer concentration to firm concentration ratio, degree of dependency upon existing channels of distribution, bargaining leverage, particularly in industries with high fixed costs, buyer switching costs, buyers, information availability, availability of existing substitutes, products, and lastly, buyer price sensitivity. So the ability the customers have to drive prices lower or their level of power is one of the five forces. It is affected by how many buyers or customers a company has, how significant each customer is, and how it would cost a company to find a new customer or markets for its output. A small and more powerful client base means that each customer has more power to negotiate for a lower prices and better deals. A company that has many smaller independent customers will have an easier time charging higher prices to increase profitability. So the next, so the last of five forces is the threat of substitutes. So there's a buyer propensity to substitute. This aspect incorporate both tangible and intangible factors. Brand loyalty can be very important, as in the Coke and Pepsi example above. However, contractual and legal barriers are also effective. Now, next is relative price performance of substitute, buyer switching costs. So this factor is well illustrated by the mobility industry. Uber and its many competitors took advantage of the incumbent tax industry dependence on legal barriers to, to entry, and when those fell away, it was trivial for customers to switch. There were no costs as every transaction was atomic with no incentive for customers not to try another product. So there's a number of substitute products available in the market, ease of substitution, and availability of close substitute. So in the last five courses, focuses on substitute goods or service that can be used in a place of company's product or services pose a threat. Companies that produce goods or service, as we say, for which there are no close substitutes will have more power to increase prices and lock in favorable terms. When close substitutes are available, customers will have the option to forego buying a company's product, and a company's power can be weakened. So the next topic is about the managing the operating environment. So what is an operational environment? So in a very broad sense, stands for the factor that make up the nature of an environment and how they can affect your operation. So operational environment classification. You can see that true understanding of where the military or even a business is operating can have everything to do with how they are received. To classify the environments in a very general way, there are three different environments. First is permissive environments. Second is hostile environments, and third is uncertain environments. So what is permissive environments? These are places that allow another country's military forces to come in and conduct operation. Think of these countries as friendly ones who wants the military there to protect their citizens who work with their military. They're cooperative, and in most situations, they're looking for assistance combating terrorism or other security threats within their borders or right over the border. So, nung nahanap ko itong operating environment, it is mainly related to military forces. So hindi siya ganong medyo mas siya sa military side. So yung nakuha ko mga topic is about military. So next is hostile environments. There are countries where they have lost control of the population or the territory. It could be a place where there is an uprising of the people or another country has invaded and is attempting to take over. And lastly, uncertain environment. This is treated very much like a hostile environment, and for the most part, is considered hostile. The only difference is that the host country still has some control, albeit limited. So, what is operational environment framework? So, the framework of an operational environment includes each of those variables. So, the strategic environment can be analyzed, and then result can be applied to all levels of learning. To fully understand how each of those areas work together, you need to understand what they mean independently. So we have here the first, infrastructure. So concrete, steel, and fiber optics. Fiber optic cable are the essential building blocks of the economy. Infrastructure enables trade, power, businesses, connects workers to their jobs, creates opportunities for struggling communities, and protect the nation from an increasingly unpredictable and natural environment. From private investment in telecommunication systems, broadband networks, freight, railroads, energy projects, and pipelines, to publicly spending on transportation, water, buildings, and parks. Infrastructure is the backbone of a healthy community. So the community economy needs a reliable infrastructure to connect supply chains and efficient move goods and services across the border. Infrastructure connects households across metropolitan areas to higher quality opportunities for an for employment, healthcare, and education. So it is very important to our economy. So next is physical environment. Uh, Physical environment of your company can have a substantial impact on the way your customers or clients feel about your business. This can have a positive or negative reflection of perception and sales. So paying attention to the image of your physical environment projects can help influence your bottom line. So the physical environment of a business consists of a natural and man-made components. In natural components include the atmosphere, land, wind, water, weather, and vegetation. However, it would include such things as all business facilities, equipment, and transportation system. So next is time management. It's one of the best, it's one of the most important skills to have. But if it's often a concept that many businesses and people struggle with. Small businesses, in particular, cannot afford to waste time with a bad management and efficiency. However, the benefits of good time management practices are immeasurable. Businesses that utilize good time management are better positioned to consistently deliver their product or service on time. So the business that utilize good time management are better positioned to consistently deliver their products or service. Good time management also means that a business is able to solve problems that arise without it significantly impacting day-to-day operation. And lastly, the socially responsible companies tend to attract employees who are eager to make difference in the world in addition to simply collecting a paycheck. At the large companies, there is a strength in numbers where collective employee efforts can achieve substantial results, which increase workplace morale and boost productivity. Embracing socially responsible policies goes a long way towards attracting and retaining customers, which is essential to a company long-term success. Furthermore, many individuals will gladly pay a premium for goods, knowing that part of the profits will be channeled towards social causes near and dear to them. So social variable considered culture, religion, ethnic composition. Then it dives deeper into the beliefs, values, customs, and behaviors of the society. Population distribution and mapping cultural centers and diversity breakdowns are also critical in understanding a region. So we have here the economic variable looks at how a country or region is doing and what their imports and exports are and what illegal economic activities there is. Business economics help in establishing relationships between different economic factors such as income, profits, losses, and market structures. This helps in guiding managers in effective decision making and running the organization. So my last topic is common forms of interorganizational relationships. So I have here the first one, partnerships. Forming a partnership with another company can often benefit a small business. It allows two companies to work together in symbiotic relationship that does not require them to merge into a single entity. So a successful partnership occurs between two companies that deal in similar but not identical businesses. For example, a small automobile repair shop can partner with a automotive parts store to increase both businesses and develop a solid customer base. So, dito sa partnership, siyempre, from the word partnership, dito na yung pwede kayong magtulungan na sa dalawang magkaibang kumpanya, pwede kayong magtulungan para mga ano, sabay din kayong ah kikita ganun. Parang join kayo hand in hand. So, hindi kagaya ng ibang business na kakaroon kayo ng rivalry. Dito pwede kayong magtulungan. So, yun nga, isang example is a small automobile repair shop then can partner with a automotive parts store to increase both businesses and develop a solid customer base. So, next is project groups. Developing a project group with another company is one form of interorganizational relations that is often used. A project group that brings together people from different companies generally benefits from new ideas, methods, and way of thinking. This is particularly exciting for a small business professional who are accustomed to working with the same team all the time. A successful group must have a structure with a leader who assigns particular roles to each participant and can help draw out the best strategies and plans for the project. So the next is franchises. An individual seeking to start a small business may consider purchasing a franchise from a larger corporation. One benefit to obtaining a national franchise is that the template and branding of the company is already in place. You are in the sense of stepping into a business that is already established without having to lay as much groundwork. This does not necessarily mean, however, that you cannot add your own personal touches to the business. You still must satisfy your customer base with your manner of operation. So ito yung mga nauso na rin ngayon, franchising. So ang kaganda kasi sa franchises, so sila kasi sikat na. Ang gagawin mo na lang, pag nag-join ka sa kanila, patatakbuhin mo na yung trabaho, sila na yung gagawa ng store, sila na lahat magpo-provide ng mga ingredients, ng mga kailangan mo, patatakbuhin mo na lang. Unlike dun sa talaga magsisimula ka from zero na poproblemahin mo lahat, advertisement, papakilala mo yung produkto mo, kung paano mas magiging maganda, maging kaaya-aya sa mga customer. So, yun ang kinagandaan ng franchising. Nga lang, ang downside lang nun, mas mahal. Ang sisingilin nila sa'yo dahil may pangalan na sila compared to sa magsisimula ka pa lang. So, kung kunwari sisingilin ka nila ng mga 500,000 sa franchising, na kung iisipin mo, pwede mo naman simulan yung sarili mo business na in 100,000 lang, ganun. So, next is outsourcing. It's a common form of interorganizational relations. Often, it costs more to do everything in-house at your small company and than it does if you hire another company to handle a specific aspect of your business. For instance, you might want to create a 24-hour customer service line for your company, but lack the manpower and funds to host it at your location. In this case, you might want to hire an outside company to handle calls during the hours in which your business is closed. For outsourcing to be profitable, there must be support of the highest company officers, detailed communication with all involved personnel, and the proven ability of the vendor to deliver what is promised. So next is networking, association, and alliance. So some profitable forms of interorganizational relations for a small business owner come from networking, joining trade association and forming marketing alliance with other small companies. Network provide the opportunity to belong the business community with the benefits of sharing resources and enjoy peer support. Becoming a member of a trade association allows the business owners and staff members to attend conferences to continue learning about their trade and discover new methodology. In addition, to form a relationship with other small companies that allow for shared resources. So siguro hindi naman na tayo bago dito sa networking, association, alliance. So yun lang. It is a mutually profitable interorganizational relation. So parang makikijoin ka sa kanilang company and you will do all the work. So that's all, and thank you for listening.